Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm your host, Ian Carlos Crawford, and joining me to talk the finale of Hawkeye, I have three really wonderful guests. We have poet, my best friend, and doctor,
Kimberly Ann Southwick. Hi.
Writer of Nubia and the Amazons,
Stephanie Williams.
And comedian and writer of Rube Goldberg and His Incredible Machines,
Brandon T Snider.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
So what we're gonna do is start first. Brandon, I'll call on you first. What did you think of the series once you finished the finale?
You know what? I didn't know that I was going to enjoy. I didn't think that I would enjoy Hawkeye as much as I did.
Fair.
Yeah, I was like, we'll see what this is. I mean, and I think the whole using Kate Bishop and doing the stuff from the Fraction AHA book is cool and everything, but I was like, I don't know, we'll see, because I just haven't really cared about Hawkeye in these movies. But then they really gave Jeremy Renner something to work with, I feel like. And overall, I really liked it. I was surprised a couple times, which was nice. I felt fulfilled by the final episode.
Right? I think this might be, for me, so I loved WandaVision, but I didn't love, like Steph and I talked about the finale, right? It didn't feel as satisfying as I had hoped. But WandaVision's still my favorite series of the Disney Plus series.
Okay, because I was like, oh my God, is this replacing WandaVision for you? Who are you becoming?
I'm suddenly straight. But I think that they really landed the ending here, and I think a lot of these shows don't land the ending. And like Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was just like, give him the fucking shield. We saw in the previews he gets the shield. Like, why are we waiting for him to have it until the last two episodes? And Loki, I enjoyed Loki a lot, but like they really didn't land that plane. Like it was just like nothing was achieved. In fact, things were made worse, and we achieved nothing. And this felt like a complete story, which was nice. Of course, it was like, we're going to get more of Maya, we're going to get more of Yelena, but we completed the story being told in this show, which was satisfying to me. Stephanie, how did you feel about the series as a whole?
I enjoyed it. I think next to WandaVision, this might be my favorite out of all of them. And that's because it felt so much like a, that it was still within the world, but it was such a bottled story. And it didn't feel like it was setting up another thing, even though, if anything, it just told us, hey, you're going to get more of these characters, but it didn't feel like a backdoor pilot for Echo or anything like that. Like, I just knew, I'm going to get some more Echo, I'm going to get some more Yelena, and that's fine. But once it was over, it just felt complete. Like, it felt like that story arc ended. So it was like the best landing out of all of these.
Yeah, right.
Which I'm surprised, because I just didn't expect that from Hawkeye at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Kim, what'd you feel about the series?
Well, we got our Christmas Miracle special that it had the previews were telling us it was going to be, the happily ever after-ish at the end that you expect from something like this. And I was just really glad that it lived up to that. I was going to be disappointed if they surprised us with, oh, he's not happy at home with the family. And I also think from my outside the verse, not that I've not seen all the MCU movies, because I have, but my less informed perspective, that it did do everything that y'all are saying for someone who doesn't know as much too. Like, we got to meet some people, so for example, like Maya and everything, that we didn't necessarily know, and we were still satisfied with the ending and with everything that happened to get us there.
I felt very satisfied, and like you mentioned, Stephanie, okay, so yeah, we do set up Maya and stuff, but it didn't, if she wasn't a character that we knew was getting her own series, it was like, okay, she still had a story, right? And we still finished that story of she found out what happened to her dad. She found out what really happened to her dad. She killed both people that betrayed her. She had her beginning and end to her story in this series, and that was something I liked. And like Yelena too, right? Like Yelena went into the series. I mean, she was only there for 2.5 episodes, but Yelena came in thinking Clint had murdered her sister. She didn't actually know what happened. We learn that she like gets the closure with Clint without having to kill him. And I don't know, I really, really appreciated that. If anything, Kate's story was the most open-ended, but this was almost like her superhero origin, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I want to add too, people that don't know what y'all know don't know that Maya is Echo. You know what I mean? Like that show just says Echo.
Right.
So they'll be excited when they do drop a preview or something like that. Like, oh, I know that character. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to say that I still have questions about Yelena's motivations, because like, is she really taking jobs to try to kill people still? Because like she got out, the Black Widow program is done. She's like out in the world, like she's taking jobs from Kingpin. Like that's a little bit odd to me, and I hope there's more of like a clarification about that. You know what I mean?
Stephanie, what's your rebuttal to that?
Oh, no, because I was going to say, so that was the thing where I was like, did I miss something? Because I thought maybe she had just taken that job by him because it was like a hit on Clint. And that's what she had been wanting, since she found out what happened to Natasha. So, and I was
That
like, did
makes
I miss
sense.
something? But had she been, so like, was she taking jobs beforehand?
Yeah.
Times are tough.
I just because she also feels like, this is the thing about Yelena, is that she's so good at everything that you're kind of like, why would you have to? I mean, maybe she just wanted the money, but like, why would you feel like, why would, like, she could find? I feel like she could find Clint and get
Yeah,
him
you're
right out of
right.
you know what I mean? Even when she was saying, even when they were fighting, and she was like, "You're lying," I was like, okay. As a person who is in the midst of this thing, who has this trauma, like accusing him of lying as a mechanism, but then part of my first instinct, because she's so sharp, was to be like, she knows that he's not lying, like she knows how to spot a lie, but I'm like, okay, maybe it's just, but she's just, I think I just have such high expectations for the character of Yelena in this world, that I'm like looking at all her choices being like, she's smarter than that, she's better than that, why is she doing that?
Now, that I will have to agree on. And the only reason why I'll let's just say why she took the money is so that she can keep up that wardrobe, because Ms. Mama's has been shopping.
She looks
right.
amazing. Like I will, like she is one of those people that I am like, she looks good in every scene, and she really makes everything look so effortless. I have to say, very honestly, like she makes every, like her acting is effortless, like her line delivery. I'm like, it's like she just showed up, then she's like, let's do it, and then they do it, and then she goes home.
My notes literally say like, there's like 3 times in my notes where I say like, Florence Pugh is killing this role, and she like eats it up. And you're right, Brandon. It seems like she's like, great, one take, I got it, and like does it real quick, real like no big deal to her, and she's just so good. And I will say, I agree with all of you. I kept thinking like, she's smarter than this, but I do think the way I took that scene was she didn't want to believe him, and that's why she said, you're lying. Just like, she's like crying when she says you're lying. And I really took it as like, she's so overcome with grief over like the only real family member who like showed her affection, right? Like even their like quote unquote parents like weren't that great. But like her sister did look out for her. And so I don't know, I felt like it was like she didn't want to believe him. That's why she was so upset, because she wanted to have someone to be angry about with her grief, which is a thing that grief does, right?
Yeah, and to get some closure. I agree.
And so, okay, so let's get into this finale. We open, I had forgotten, so I will be curious what you think, Kim. I had forgotten how, like, terrifying Vincent D'Onofrio plays Kingpin as. Because, like, even as he's talking to Eleanor, even though she's a bad mom, even though she just admitted to, like, doing all this shady shit, I'm like, ooh, Eleanor, please just get out of there, because he's going to pop your little head off. Like, I was, like, nervous because it's Kate's mom. I was like, no, I don't want like her to die, because I was like, he, in the Daredevil series, we saw him like smush off a man's head with a car door. So I just kept thinking of like that scene and like his weird breathing that he does, where it's like, oh, he could fly off the handle in like a second.
I didn't necessarily get that impression from him in that scene. I felt like even though Eleanor was making a mistake, being like, I don't need a minute, and like having that awesome line and walking out, like it was clear, like, you don't say that to this guy, but I wasn't like, he's going to smush your head with his like thumb and forefinger.
I think I was going to say that like the Kingpin has been through, I mean, like how long ago were the events of Daredevil?
Right.
He's been, the blip has happened. He was in jail. Like, I like the fact that there's just like questions. Like now we're seeing him again. I'm not going to say the C word. So like, yes, maybe the past has influenced this Kingpin. Maybe there other things have happened. We don't know. We'll figure it out. But like, I love that he is like a different type of tense than we've seen him before. I like that. I think that he's probably been through a lot of shit in the past few years. And so it's just made him, because like
he's seen some shit.
Like he's seen some shit. He's like, I got to work out of it. Like what the place where he's like his base is or whatever is like, he's not doing fancy. He's not a fancy man anymore. He's like, I got to work down, and whatever. I also have to say that I like Vincent D'Onofrio's acting, like, is so intense as an actor that when Vera Farmiga leaves at the end of the scene and his face twitches slightly, I'm like, ooh, yes, that's good.
Yes, he does that shit really well, right? Steph, what do you think about him coming back as Kingpin?
I'm so happy that he's back because he is a phenomenal Kingpin. He's scary. Like even when Kay has to take him head on, that is a scary boss fight. Actually, all of the boss fights or whatever in this final episode lived up to what they needed to be. Actually, I didn't expect, them, like everybody got their person to face off with, and the fights were what the characters needed them to be to kind of like finish up their stories, or at least in Kate's on Kate's behalf, kind of start hers. So, I'm happy that he's back. Same thing with Charlie Cox. Sorry, that is a spoiler if you haven't seen Spider-Man, but you knew it's been in the blogs.
That was the thing that I did know. Like that was confirmed for me, like going into Spider-Man. I mean, half of me is like, because I've seen people say, well, it'll be a different time. I just think that Marvel is smart enough to do this where they don't need to like explicitly address everything that has happened beforehand to these characters, because comic books don't need to do that, right? Like,
yes, I really like, I like the idea that we need to know every single thing about every single moment is like horrendous. Like let it roll out. Let it all roll out. We'll find out. And maybe it connects, maybe it doesn't. But like, let's just be chill about it.
But I don't think that, because I've seen some people be like, oh, these are brand new versions of the cat. I'm like, no. It's the same actors. We're not like starting over. Yeah, they've already met. We might not talk about it, but like, right? Like Marvel's too smart to like be like, oh, Daredevil doesn't know who Kingpin is suddenly. Like that would be dumb. Right.
No, I don't think they would do that. I think that they're just like, I think what they do a lot of times is they play certain things just fast and loose, because it's purposely they withhold certain information because they don't want to be beholden to a certain thing as defined, when they're like, if we define it, then we can't ever do XYZ. You know what I mean?
Right. And like to leave it open, because I saw some people saying that like Eleanor was going to be his new Vanessa, and that was like a theory. And I was like, that's a stupid theory. like don't suddenly just make like, oh yeah, she was like in love with the Kingpin, because Kate would have seen him also. Yeah. So I really did like this opening. I also like this Kingpin is still kind of scary, but he was kind of like losing his shit here in this episode. Like he was losing his grip on the city, as he tells Kazi when he's like, they need to know that I rule this city. Because he's got Eleanor being like, I don't need a minute, see ya. And Maya being like, tee-hee, I just need to clear my head, aka I'm going to plan your burger.
He was also funny because who did he say? Someone they just can't quit their job, like is Bloomingdale's or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really
I was like, go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say I really liked that he read right through Maya.
Yeah.
Because she uses the sign language and that, he's talking to her in the sign language, which seems to me like, oh, like they have a relationship, like Kazi knew it, but like none of the other guys knew it. So like she's telling him everything he wants to hear, and like he's fully aware that that's exactly what she's doing. And like when during the actual scene, I didn't know that until she left, so I thought that was well played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did think like, ooh, she's doing a good job of pretending, and then like, well, I guess not that good of a job because he knew immediately.
I really love seeing that diamond cane.
Yeah,
I was like I want to see more of that diamond. I want him to beat the shit out of somebody with that diamond soon. I need to see that in the next year.
So we get the Maya scene, and I love that they end that scene with saying "I love you" to each other in sign language, and then immediately he's like, "Well, I know she's bullshitting me." Like I thought that was like, just like you said, Kim. I also was like, "Oh, she is telling him all the right things." But
yeah, I
mean,
also like that they said "I love you" too, because they're family, whether that's mob family or family. I don't think we're still clear on that. We can't skip the very, very brief scene that came before it, though, where Hawkeye calls Kate his partner. Only just needs to be mentioned because it's part of the whole what makes this a good finale. We're getting all the things that we need / want to get, and that was one of them. But
yes. I was very happy that we cut the crap with him being grumpy with her, and he was just like, "Oh, you're my partner." Like I was very happy with that. I don't know. That made me happy.
I agree with you, and I have to say that like I'm glad that they didn't turn it into too much of a like grumpy guy doesn't want to have this sidekick and leave me alone. Like that they actually just made him accept the partnership as opposed to just like keep being like no. It's
because
growth.
They work well together, right? And they really do. They have a good dynamic. They're good partners. And I liked when what does he say to her on the subway? Something about like, well, we can make more. And she's like, you can make more. And then they're just like making more arrows together.
Yes. Yes. What a great scene.
Right.
I really think that was a great scene.
I want to know who they're like. I was just waiting for her to show up at this apartment the whole time and be like, what'd you do to the place? But I didn't. Because there they are. Like I wanted her to show up in the scene when they're making the arrows, and she's got the little old school label maker, and like up and they're like red-handed. Alas,
this is the thing that I like. I think sometimes seeing some of the process, like we saw like Tony Stark make stuff. We've seen some of the process that some of these people go through, but since Hawkeye has been the most boots on the ground character of any of the Avengers, to see him do this like has meaning and value in a new way, because before he's just a guy that sort of showed up and did arrows, and now we're like, okay, he's got to make them. Like he doesn't have an assistant, you know what I mean? Which I think that's a good thing to see. Is this? I mean, I have to say, like I already said, like I did not expect to like Hawkeye as much as I did, and it's because of moments like this that I'm like, oh, okay, so he's got a full character now. That's nice.
Brandon, I like that you said he showed up and he would just show up and do arrows. Like,
I mean, yeah, like
crabs.
Well, yeah.
Steph.
What was I gonna say? So the scene between Kate and Yelena, where she's like taking her to task and out of like her fandom of her fangirling of Hawkeye and the fact that he has like done some stuff that he shouldn't have. And I don't know if that ever really got like resolved, like Kate feeling differently about him. Or did I miss something? Because I kind of felt like it was like she took it, but I don't know if she ever really challenged that any further.
I don't know.
And I just thought that was a little odd.
Yeah.
To like put so much into that scene between the two of them and not have Kate kind of side-eyeing him afterwards. So that I was like, okay, I hope in season 2 we end up getting one and the focus is more so on Kate. Like we explore that just a little bit more because I don't know, like the way that Yelena was like going to task on that, I'm like, okay, she is cutting pretty deep. Kate, you need to like chew on that for a little bit because she's right.
I do think it's like, because Kate says something like, there's always collateral damage. And then Yelena's like, was my sister collateral damage? And I think that Kate kind of both understood that Yelena, this was her grief, but also like, I think she believed what she said when like, well, there's always collateral damage. But I also think that she, especially that wording when you're saying to someone who's like family member died because of said thing, like not the most comforting, but
and maybe it's because she lost her dad. I don't know, like because she lost her dad during the whole alien invasion. But I just thought that was really interesting, and I just want them to explore that just a little bit more because the relationship that Hawkeye and Kate Bishop have in the Matt Fraction run, it's very similar, but he doesn't have that Ronin part attached to him.
Right.
So like you don't like if there isn't like he's still a dick, but a dick for other reasons, not that. So I just thought that was really interesting. I will say, out of all of the series that have introduced characters who are not the main focus, but more of like side characters for Maya, they did an excellent job of translating her actual comic story to make it fit within the Hawkeye framework and still gave her a full arc.
Right.
Which I thought was really good.
I feel like the writers of this series should like write a little like outline for the other series to be like, that's how you do that.
Like I can't believe that they were like basically cast Alakwa Cox and like from her work on this, they're like, you know what? Let's give her a whole show. Like, can you even just imagine? You're like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. It's cool. And then they're like, yeah, actually, let's do a whole show. What do you think? Like, it's like a contest. It's like she won a contest.
Because it really is.
Because she was introduced at the end of episode 2, so she's not even like fully in every episode, but still got her own show deal doing this, which is like, yes, that is wild.
Yeah.
But okay, so we get all of that. We get them making the arrows. Then we learn that they are going to Kate's mom's holiday party, which is the one that Kate's mom had been like, Eleanor was talking to her at like last time. She was like, oh, let's change the subject. Let's talk about my holiday party. I really liked all of this, and I liked that the LARPers were part of their like crew.
Is that from the comics? Is there like a comic thing in there? Because I was like, no, because I haven't read the Fraction stuff, and I was like, I thought that maybe that there was like some sort of connection or some sort of like thing, but I was like, the LARPing thing I found to be a weird addition, but I'm into it.
Well, the way that I saw it, so the first time they introduced it is like this very, I don't know, like almost meta joke, and not in a way that is meant to primarily be offensive, but more so poking fun at fans who consider, the on the boots Avengers that don't have powers to be LARPing as superheroes when naturally they aren't. So that's the way that I thought of it. And that's why I thought it was actually a really fun and great thing that they did for Hawkeye and the whole, like, let's put this character in this very, like, low stakes situation for something that he really needs that's important and see what happens. And the fact that they kept that, I guess, I don't even want to consider it a joke, but kept that going all the way up into the end, I thought was really fun and interesting writing when you think of it that way.
I like that theory.
Yeah, me too. I like that theory. I hadn't even thought about that, Stephanie. You must write comic books, Steph.
It's every now and again.
So yeah, we get like, I love that they join in, and I mean, I said this before, but Brandon, I don't know if y'all agree with me. The thing I liked most about them was, I mean, like you said, Stephanie, it was like a joke, but it's not a joke. They're not like making fun of nerds. It's not like Big Bang Theory. Right?
No,
like,
no.
Oh
no.
God, no.
They're just
Lord, no.
they're just like human beings.
Right? And like, they're not like constantly having to talk about like comic books or like making a Star Wars route. It's like, they
they're
like
not
LARPing.
They're not trying to teach Clint about orcs.
Right. Which, like, Big Bang Theory would have had them sit down with him and, like, want to play Dungeons and Dragons or some, like, dumb shit. But so they go to the holiday party. Everyone looks nice. I like seeing everyone in a formal wear. And I like that he's working with her, right? Like, Clint says, like, all right, well, look around. What are the assets? What are our threats? And I love that Kate's like, well, Gary over there fired me from my job. Jim, what do you think of that? Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I was going to say, are we going to talk about my favorite line in the entire... Not that it's not really my favorite, but one of my favorite lines, which was, remember when you peed your pants in the Hamptons? Everyone does.
I love
like,
that it was...
What?
I love that it was delivered by Jack, who was like this like harmless, dumb himbo, but like this child gets sassy with him, and he's like, I remember when you fucking peed your pants.
I know. I was like, is this going somewhere? Like, what is happening? This is so intense.
I mean, I was like, am I supposed to know who this kid is?
I felt the same way. We had to go back in time and be like, yes, we did meet him. Yeah, because I didn't remember him from earlier. Like, he didn't just stick with me. And so I was like, who is this precocious, wealthy child that is at this party?
Kim, he was the other Armand with Old Man Armand in episode 1.
No, I got that, but I meant like a larger picture, sort of like, this is the moment where this kid becomes such and such a villain in the future.
He became the Joker after this scene.
Yeah, he was giving me Clarion vibes a little bit.
Troublemaker. So, yeah, we get that scene was really good, and I like that Jack was like, oh, you little shit, and like was just fine with insulting this child. And so Yelena walks in looking fantastic.
That coat is amazing. I love that coat. Everything about it. If it was a scene, I would pick it at the end as my favorite, but it's not. So yeah. I mean, this is like
she's so hot.
This is like the beginning of like the rest of the episode. Like basically, like, you know, they walk into the party, they're doing the threats and the assets. Yelena's here. Okay, who's gonna? Oh, we got Kazi on the roof. Like it's like okay, and then like bam, like kind of like everything happens.
Yeah. And Kim, I wanted to point out, did you also notice her like turquoise eyeliner? Because I thought it looked great on her.
Oh, I'm not good at noticing makeup.
Kim!
I noticed it.
Thank you, Brandon. Of course.
I think that, like, I just, like, she's so hot. Like, if I were, like, a closeted teenager still, I would be like, oh, no, this is the one that's going to do it. No, she's the one. No, she's going to turn the ship around. Yeah.
I like what you did to her hair, too. Like, I wish I could do that to my hair, but I'm
like,
not talented at that.
Her braids, like, when she turns around, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this braid is, but I love it. I'm on board with it. Please. Just let me be a part of your life.
We're the annoying gays trying to be Yelena's gays, and she's like, God, go away.
Like, get away from me. You are very annoying to me.
We're like, yes, oh my God, tell us we're annoying again.
Yes, step on my throat. Please, I don't like so these weird. Stupid... she's like wanting to know our Drag Race opinions, and it makes us like so excited.
God. But yeah, so Yelena arrives looking fucking fantastic. I liked her dark lipstick. I really liked that. And I also liked her entrance. Her entrance was just really good. Of like, she's so like you said, Brandon, it's like she's just like effortless with like how cool Yelena is. And I love that she walks in super confident, looking fucking hot. And the guy's like, want me to check your coat? And she's like, no, thank you. And just keeps walking. Like, it was such a good Yelena entrance. Kate pulls her mom into the kitchen. She's like, I know everything. She tells her about Kingpin. We don't actually use the word Kingpin in the series, do we?
No, we do. We do? When Hawkeye, when he first is revealed, he says, the big guy, Kingpin.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
At the end of last episode.
Like how I keep, in my notes, I keep saying Echo, but like she's not Echo in the series, right? I never use that.
Spoiler alert.
So Kazi starts shooting. Chaos ensues. And we get, which will probably be my favorite scene. Kate heads Yelena off. Like the LARPers jump into action. They help. Jack is there. He has a sword, whatever. But Kate heads Yelena off at the elevator. And I love this like weird chase, but not chase scene, but fight scene, but not fight scene. Kim, I'm curious what you thought. 'Cause I know you're not like, you could take or leave a fight scene. What'd you think of all this?
I thought it looked great. I thought the cinematography, once they got out of the elevator and like all of the different rooms in that, I guess, office building that they're going through, like just the way that the fighters were moving through it was awesome. I was missing a little bit of the fun banter. Like I wish that it had been as funny as it was when they were eating the mac and cheese, but I guess, now they're fighting. So I was kind of hoping for more. Not that it wasn't funny, it just like it didn't rise to the same level as the previous banter did. But yeah, I just thought, for an action scene, just the way that it was shot, cinematography to me looked amazing.
Yeah, and I did like that they did have the scene in the elevator where like Kate slaps her, and I love the like absolute shock on Yelena's face, even though it's like they're kind of at odds here, but like Yelena's like and like Kate's scared at what Yelena might do, but Yelena still isn't like the thing I like is even then Yelena's still not like going at it, right?
Yeah, she doesn't really want to fight Kate, but Kate's making it impossible for her not to. Yeah. I like the part where they like, don't they like, I know Yelena rips off Kate's like dress or whatever, and then suddenly Yelena's and doesn't have the coat off anymore. I guess like maybe I looked away for a second for whatever reason.
Yeah, she takes it off, yeah.
Oh, she takes it off. I'm not sure if they both accidentally ripped each other's off.
She takes it off and hands it to Kate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then she's like, hands it to Kate and then takes off. And Kate's like, what?
Like I was just very charmed by all of that. I don't know, Stephanie, what'd you think?
I love it because like I just want more Kate Bishop and Yelena like together just doing stuff because their on-screen chemistry was probably the best out of all the pairings. So like I just want more, and like what perfect casting Florence Pugh was for this role, because she kept the same energy up and then pushed some more and gave us some more that we got in like Black Widow. So I just want more. So I hope they do the Dark Avengers or whatever the hell they plan on doing, but just like give me more of them. I'll take that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It is crazy because this version of Yelena is way better than the comics version of Yelena. Like in the comics, she's kind of more just like a supervillain, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that I've ever read any. I know, like obviously I know of her involvement in the Marvel Universe to some extent, but I've never read any Yelena Black Widow stuff. What is she up to right now? She was just in the Winter Guard.
So right now, I know I've seen her pop up in the current Black Widow series, just like there. But don't get me to lie if she's a part of anything. But like she's definitely like been in the more recent comics. But I mean, I don't know. Like I feel like in the same way that I feel about Natasha, those two characters would kind of take it or leave it. And then with at least with Yelena's portrayal in the MCU, like I actually care about that character. Same way, who was it recently that they introduced and I was like, the Eternals, to be honest, because like the movie versions far more interesting than the comic versions. And I mean, I just say that because the Eternals is just, yeah. But read Kieran Gillen's current run. Read that. It's good. But yeah.
So yeah, we get like them doing this, and I even liked. So like I know everyone gets a little like, I'm gonna sound kind of mean here. Everyone can get a little twee with their ships and like shipping characters, or like a little precious about it, and I can sometimes be very grumpy about it. But when she was like, let's grab a drink, I was like, yes, no, go grab a drink, get the fuck out of here. Like I want to watch the two of you like go to a gay bar together, right? Like that's what I want to watch. Like her and Yelena just like getting drunk and maybe they kiss. Like,
it's like a Buffy Faith sort of like
yeah.
Like,
what are the chicken fingers like at this bar? Can I get more ranch over here, please? We're starving.
Brandon, if you could do the rest of the episode in your Yelena accent, that would be
I
fantastic.
actually don't try me in because I would do it.
So yeah, I loved all of that, and I liked that even like Kate was like, "Stop making me like you," and Yelena's like, "I can't help it," like because Yelena likes her too, right? Wouldn't you say, like, right?
I think that she does. I think that there's a part of her that like the reason she doesn't just hit her or go nuts is that she not just because she's younger, but she sees herself in her, maybe an innocent part of herself is why she doesn't just fucking do the job. You know what I mean? Because like that was on my mind a lot watching it, where you're like, Yelena's a professional, she has a job to do, why is she entertaining all of this like chatter? I think she sees in Kate like an innocent part of herself that she maybe I don't know. I think there's like sisterhood.
She was also flipped, and it's got to be really hard to come back from that. And they did give us that scene. So, like, her sister's gone, right?
Yeah, she needs a friend.
Yeah, so she needs. I'm sure that's got to be part of it in a way. And Kate's cool. I'd be friends with her.
Yeah, right. Like Kate was still like engaging with her even when she was terrified. So I think like I don't know. I think of like I was gonna make a Buffy reference, but I realized only Kim would get it. I think of like when you have like a villain who's like having fun playing with their prey almost. And I think at first maybe that's what it was with Yelena, but then Yelena like did actually really like her and was like, yeah, no, I like this. I like this one. I was gonna try to do the accent, but I know I can't do you, Brandon.
I like this one.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh no, wait, that's a little bit great. How about I like this one. I like this one.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I'm gonna workshop it.
Okay. Also, I thought them scaling the building was fucking cool. I don't know, Kim.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Right?
With like Kate screaming the whole way down.
Now, this is actually a really good segue into something that I wanted to bring up, which is the suspension of disbelief. That this is happening at 30 Rockefeller Center, and that somehow people are like, "Oh, a girl just fell from the building. Yeah, we'll just keep walking. She knows what she's doing." Like, this is the beginning of a lot of action in and around that area where I'm like, I mean, I know the NYPD sucks, but like there isn't a single, there's not even a person, there's no cops, people are falling from the windows, there's crazy shit happening, they've been ushered out, and then yet Hawkeye, and they end up in the rink, and I'm like, that's like part of my like things that stress me out when I'm writing too, where I like, you forget about something and you're like, oh gosh, I have to account for this. Like these people were like, we are not going to account for the fact that this is happening in New York City in the middle of Christmas. We're just going to do what we want and you're going to accept it.
So I didn't know why the ice rink didn't have any people in it, but that's a little later when the tree falls down. But yeah, I mean, that was my question mark where your question mark was, Brandon, for sure. I had a question about just a little moment that comes up right after this. So, they're down off the building on the ground and the tracksuit mafia shows up. And then Kate and Jack have this little moment where Jack like comes out with his sword to help, and Kate apologizes to him like, oh, like, sorry, my mom framed you, basically. And he's like, it's cool. But I was like, wait, like, when did he know that? Like, I didn't think we got a moment where Jack was like, oh, I know now that it was my wife who framed me, ?
I just assumed he like put two and two together, like, because he knows, because he like knew he didn't do it, and then like, I mean, I feel like it would be pretty easy to be like, oh, this woman is actually framing me for murder, cool, and like that's why he brought his sword. But you're right, there wasn't like a beat of that.
I mean, he like shows up at the party and he's like, oh yeah, I'm here, like I would think that like that would have been a different sort of encounter we would have had with him earlier if he knew that his fiance, are they still fiancéed? Who knows? Had framed him.
But also maybe not, I don't know.
Well, since he is the swordsman in the comic books, this could be explored in the future.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't bring it back. Although when he got that sword out, he was like slicing and dicing. Like it wasn't. Yeah, right? He was like cutting people in half.
Like I was like, oh, he just murdered a bunch of people. I mean, it's fine, but
yeah, there's going to be a couple appointments made with a therapist, I think, Pat, after this for him.
Stephanie?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like, yeah, he was really full on murdering folks. I was like, okay, Disney, Christmas time, that's fine.
Merry Christmas. So yeah, I was, Kim, you pointed out, I was very charmed by Kate, like, screaming while she's scaling the building. Clint does fight Kazi first. Kazi is kind of, like, inconsequential for this episode. I felt like I almost would have preferred, like, a bigger showdown with him. But, like, whatever. Clint gets stuck in the tree. I will say the only moment when it bothered me, what you said, Brandon, is when the tree when the tree fell over, I gasped. And I thought, like, ooh, aren't there going to be people that get hit by this? But there conveniently was no one around.
And then my mind goes to this, and this is like a problem because it's like a comic book related problem that my mind immediately goes like starts making excuses for. I'm like, well, maybe the cops were like, actually, we're just going to block off this area and let them have their battle. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm like having to make that excuse in my head where I'm like, why are you doing this? Just watch, shut up. You don't have to think about it.
The reasoning I thought of in my head was, wait, do they block off that area, like, at night? Are you not allowed to walk there? But then I was like, no, it's a fucking tree. Everyone walks up and takes pictures of the tree.
And isn't it Christmas Eve, too? Like, I mean, I feel like it would be that's, like, when that ice rink's going to make a ton of money. You know what I mean? Like, why is there nobody in it? It's not 12 o'clock at night. It's a party. It's the beginning of the party, as far as we know, right? Like, we didn't get to see very much of it.
So I do like that the LARPers, like, put on their costume and we see them come out. We see Grills carrying the, like, bratty baby Armand. And I like, legitimately laughed at when the blonde lady, like, hits someone with her one of the Tracksuit Mafia guys with her weapon, and she just gasps. I did think that was, like, very charming. So Kate knocks down the whole tree to get Clint down. And then we have our, like, face-off in the rink. I will say I loved the fucking wacky arrows, but I was wondering, like, Kim, who doesn't love an action scene, were the arrows, like, too much for you, or did you like them?
I liked them. It wasn't as fun as the first time. I was trying to keep track of the different ones they used just because I thought they were fun. I wish there'd been more. I wish it had been as fun as the first time, I guess would be my only complaint. There was, like, I guess one part where Kate's just kind of shooting them, like, back to back to back to back. So it's like, oh, this one does orange smoke. Oh, this one does, needles. And I was glad they had a lot of those needles ones. They seemed very effective.
Yeah, those were, like, really, I was like, ooh, they, like, gave me a slight shiver up my spine.
Stephanie?
No, it was really cool that they've displayed the different arrows throughout the series, because you kind of forget, like, Hawkeye isn't just a part of the Avengers because he just shoots regular arrows, because, anybody can do that. They have to be special arrows, and you need to know that that is why he is running around with Captain America in them, because he has special arrows. That is the only way that he'd be able to survive.
I thought the owl taking the tiny truck away was kind of cute, but I really like that idea that, this is part of what makes him more superhero-y than just, like, a guy in a suit, like, who's very talented with the arrows. Because, like, I wouldn't have known, like, oh, okay, like, we need to save the small arrow to shoot the truck. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would have, let's not talk about what I would have done.
Well, and they really hadn't shown, prior to this, the thing that I was trying to think of, we never really got any of his trick arrows in any of the other movies, right? Or did we?
I think we did, but, like, nothing to, like, the way that they were on display in the series.
And also, one more thing, Brandon, you might know the answer to this. The owl thing, didn't they find an owl living in the Rockefeller Center tree? Wasn't that, like, a thing?
Yes, this is a true story from maybe a year or two ago. It was very cute, I think.
I was hoping that there was, like, an origin story for the owl. Like, I was like, there has to be. I just don't know what it is. So, like, I'm very.
I feel like it was like 2019 that this happened. But I agree with what you're saying about the owl. Because I'm like, I want to see what happens now. I mean, that owl took a van full of people. Like, what? I mean, what happens? Where is it going?
Well, sometimes when animals get hungry, They swoop down and they eat things. So I'm assuming that the owl ate all of the people in that truck.
Okay, we shall see. It's just something I need addressed, and I need Kevin Feige to hear me.
Kate was concerned too about the people in the truck as well. So yeah,
I did love the beat of like when she's like, well, what happens now? And then like that's when the owl comes and just swoops away with them.
Well, immediately, what I liked about it too is that it like when he sees the owl, it was a moment that was like a little precious that I was like, oh, what's this? And so I'm glad that there was like a follow up to that like doesn't just make it like he's like connecting with having this little nature moment, that there was a purpose to it. I agree. I like that.
I was really happy when they finally got off the ice though, because ice is very slippery, and I was like very concerned.
Also, I want to point out, I was so proud of Kate when she comes sliding across the ice to save Clint. I was like, yes!
The way they glided on that ice on their knees, first of all, I was like, oh, your poor knees. But secondly, I was like, that was pretty cool. Like, it was like, I think that whole scene was really like a choreographed dance. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the timing and the way that it all moved, like was really sweet to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the fight choreography in this has been some of the best we've seen in like these Disney Plus shows. I don't know if you would all agree with that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Because like, WandaVision was different, right? We didn't get like fights like this. It was more like throwing energy and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I really, that like her slow motion sliding across the ice, shooting a bunch of arrows. I was like, good for her. Good for her. She's doing it.
Yeah. Like I kept thinking too, like she really got beaten up bad in this thing. And I'm just like, I'm again, in my brain, I'm like, well, she is young. She is resilient. Their bodies are different than yours. Where I'm like,
you're making us sound like we're 85.
No, but like I'm like, if you open a car door on my side, I'm like, I'm like out for a week. She's like getting thrown through things. I'm like, oh, bless you. Bless
to be young longevity.
Again. I know. But like this is a dovetail into her thing with Kingpin.
Yes. So I do want to get to that because then I think Stephanie, you mentioned all the characters get paired off. They get their own little like fight. I did not expect her fight to be with Kingpin like at all. Yeah, Steph, what do you think of that?
I was like, this is really gonna be an interesting fight, but I guess it did make sense because of Kingpin and her mom or whatever. But I'm happy that it was just she just needed to survive it. It wasn't the one to kind of, in spoiler alert, Kingpin's not dead, but anyway,
right?
She wasn't the one to like finish him off. Maya got the chance to do that, so even with that. Was nice because then, Maya got a 2-for-1, two vengeance in one night.
You know what? She had a good night, right?
2 vengeance in one night.
They've done such a good job with her that we're like rooting for her, even though she tried to kill our precious main characters.
Right, and like I'm so like good for her. She got it. I do have. So once everyone pairs off, so she like fights Kazi, Yelena tackles Clint. Kate has her. I did like worry about Kate's mother, even though like we don't really like her. I still, it's Kate, so I didn't want her mom to get killed by Kingpin, and that wasn't the tone of this show at all. But that was the tone of Daredevil when Kingpin was killing people. So I was like a little worried when like she sees that her driver's been killed and like the door rips off. I was like, oh fuck.
That door ripping off was like really a lot for me.
Right?
Because first of all, I was like, Kingpin? Like, then I started to have questions because he's done like the rest of that fight. He's doing stuff where I'm like, are they trying to like give him powers or something? Because like he's got a lot of strength, but I didn't think he had ripped the door off its hinges strength.
Rip the door off its hinges and also like gets shot like pretty close range with an arrow and like
yeah. I'm like, maybe he was wearing something like under.
Yeah, they never clarify.
But they didn't clarify. But when he has his interaction with Vera Farmiga, like things start to move down that direction of like where everything that's happening is a big deal. And like I was like, okay, something's about to happen, and then they start that fight. Wait, I was gonna say something about Vera Farmiga. Oh, sometimes the way that she acts in this. I think she's a great actress. Sometimes I can't tell what is important. Like, she's very casual about certain things. We should be like, Kate, I don't know. I swear I'm not trying to just do impressions, but she'd be like, Kate, I don't know. Like, I don't know. There's something about her acting in that scene where she talks to Kate, that's so casual that I'm like, girl, everything's falling apart. Like, do you care? Do you care? Watch it again.
That might go back to me and Kim, like, at the start of the show, we were saying, like, is that just how, like, ridiculously wealthy people are? Like, she was very whatever about
that,
those
actually.
things.
I thought that as well. Like, because there were certain things where I was like, yeah, that I thought that there might be something about the wealth and the accessibility that makes it so she moves through the world like, what? It'll be fine because we'll just pay or we'll just kill someone or whatever. But, like, I don't know. I hope it's that kind of, like, choice. But I do also like the idea that Vera Farmiga is like, just shows up and is like, all right, are we just doing it? Okay, let's do it. Yeah, Kate, I love you, but yeah, we're just doing this.
So she's proven herself to be scrappy. Like, she's in a bad situation
This is
when
true.
her husband dies, right? Like, they're rich, but also, like, they owe a ton of money, and, like, she makes it happen. She, as we find out in this episode, like, pays dude back and more. Firstly, secondly, I read that as, like, Mama Bear. That everything's gonna be fine. Like, we're just gonna get out of here. Like, she was, like, in, like, full protection mode more than anything else when she was being about it. And it's like, you don't want your kid to be upset, so you're just going to be like, everything's fine, like, I'm going to take care of this even if everything's not fine. But, like, for her, it's like, no, like, I'm going to make everything fine because that's my kid.
I guess also having all this other crazy stuff like her husband and just finding out all these things, like, she seems so unaffected, like she's not carrying the weight of any of these things, and do you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's an intensity that's missing, and it doesn't mean that it needs to be there for me to understand, but it's just like I have to sort of settle into the idea that she is, like, not just constantly traumatized. I don't know.
Stephanie, what do you think about her?
I love Vera Farmiga, and I really loved her Bob in this, because that was the key to everything. That is why I knew that she was up to something that was no good, because she had the Bob. So no matter how casual she was, I'm like, I know she's on some bullshit because of that Bob, and it ended up being true. So I don't know. I just love her. I love like watching her in the Conjuring movies and stuff. So I'm just happy she's in the MCU.
She's so good in them, right? She really is.
She is.
Like, also, wait, now that we're talking about wigs, though, Stephanie, when Maya showed up, that was a wig, right? Like, her hair looked so bad.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if that was a thing of, like,
Stephanie Williams,
we're doing all this action, right? So I don't know.
Adam and Stephanie always talk about the wigs.
We do, but I could honestly, I have no idea. Maybe.
It
could just be humidity.
It could be. I like didn't recognize her at first when she showed up, and, like, I don't know, I thought she looked really good in all the previous episodes, but then, like, I was like, this hair looks very fake, and, like, her
it was very thick too. I mean, it could have been because, again, like, humidity, like Brandon just said, and they were like, okay, but the wig won't poof up, but it will still. So who knows?
I mean, we haven't seen her with her hair down before, ? Right? And then it's down here. So, I mean, maybe it's just like, people have not been able to recognize me when I wear my hair down before. Like, that's literally happened to me in my life multiple times. So maybe it was just a little bit of that.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
You do normally wear your hair up, Kim. She kills Kazi.
Ian, were you sad?
When she killed Kazi, no. I felt like Kazi. I don't know. I felt like, yeah, all right, I get it.
All right. I was concerned for you, so I'm glad it didn't hit you hard.
But everything with Yelena and Clint hurt my feelings. Like, my emotions were at, like, a 100. Because Florence Pugh is so fucking good. And it's bananas that she's good at portraying this character who's grieving while doing this like ridiculous accent, doing these fight scenes, and still like very much emoting. She's just fantastic. I thought she was so great in this scene. And again, like I read her saying to him that he was lying as like, no, I don't want to believe that. Like, fuck you. I need to be mad at you because I need to have closure by killing you. Like, I need to be able to do this thing, is what I read her as.
I think that also Jeremy Renner really did great work in the scene. I think that they gave him something and he just like, they gave him something and he just worked with it in a way that I guess they hadn't really, I don't feel like they've maybe given him before. Like earlier in the series when he does the stuff with the hearing aid, I mean, I feel like that in that scene when he like goes to like tell her what happened and then he says something like, if I try to tell you, you wouldn't believe me. Like, first of all, part of me is like, there's part of me that's like, is he going to like describe what happened on Vormir? Like how, because I'm like, how do you say that in a show like this? Well, we were on this planet. Like, there's just no way that will make.
Right.
So the fact that he said what he said, I was like, okay, great. But then the time that he took, I think that I just saw something in the actor and the character that I hadn't seen before. And I was like, oh, this is nice. I like this.
Yeah, they definitely gave him more than they had ever given him before. You're right, Brandon. So like, man, and when he was like, so this is when I really like cried, when he said like, nothing was going to stop her, Yelena. You knew Natasha. And we just cut to Yelena sobbing. Like, that like hurt my feelings and I started crying. And that was when I typed out my third, man, Florence Pugh is killing it note. I don't know. Kim, how did you, as someone who was also very emotional, Kim, how did you feel about that?
Oh yeah, the whole scene between them from beginning to end, I felt like the acting was very good. I felt like the writing was very good. I agree that especially Florence Pugh with all the different layers of the things she has to do as an actor in this moment.
Right.
It's just like incredible. And I wondered if and I don't think this is true, but it did wonder in my brain a little. I wondered if Hawkeye the character was like, okay, like if she kills me that's fine in a way, like because he was very like, he was fighting her, but he didn't want to kill her.
Right.
So I really don't think that. But part of me was like, ooh, like, is he like, she needs, if I do die in this moment, like at least I was telling the truth. I don't know. Just, that was really hard for me to even have a moment of that kind of thought, if that makes any sense.
I mean, I do kind of, I see what you mean because it's almost like, man, I've been fighting these guys for like all week. I'm probably going to miss Christmas. I just fell out of a building, into a tree, into an ice skating rink. You know what? Just fucking do it.
Well, and like, just like that moment where like Yelena's good. Like she might best me. And if she's going to best me, like if she's going to kill me, like let her get the thing that she needs. You know what I mean? But he's fighting her with words, not with action. And so that's a huge risk. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephanie, what'd you think of that scene?
Yeah, because like there's no way that Clint's walking away from that alive. So he needed to appeal to her emotions because no, he's like she's getting rid of him. So I'm happy that if anything they let like again showing Hawkeye not punching his way out of something, kind of talking his way out of a thing by appealing to our emotions, which is something we really haven't. Okay, so the times that we've gotten that from his character, it's been during the like weird Josh Whedon movies. So, but like, yeah, with him and like Natasha. So, again, like Hawkeye doing a really good job of not even necessarily redeeming this character, but just giving him a little bit more nuance.
And then we get to watch them like grieve together. And I think that really added to the nuance and the tear jerkingness.
Yeah, when she puts out her hand and like gives him her hand to help him up, I was like, oh fuck. Like I wanted them to hug even though I knew that would have been out of character. Like I kind of wanted them to like just be like, hey, we're cool. But that was how they ended it, right? Like that basically was it without a hug.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Brandon, as the resident actor here, what did you think of this scene?
I thought it was really lovely. I've been really impressed with the acting on this show. And I feel like it's been, I feel like, excuse me. I feel like the scene was really sweet. Oh, but I also have to say this before there was one line where Vera Farmiga says, "Is this what heroes do? Arrest their mothers at Christmas?" I was like, okay, we didn't really need that. I don't know that we needed that. But yeah.
And also, it's like, yeah, when they're murderers, that's what we do.
Yes. But but I like your theory, the sort of like wealth and privilege. She's like, what? We're just going to get out of here. Come on, I'll call somebody. We'll get a car. No, I thought the acting I think the acting is great on this.
Yeah. So also we got to talk about the Kate versus Kingpin scene because, man, she gets thrown around FAO Schwartz a lot.
Yeah, it's like kind of like when you start to consider that she is actually younger than, yeah, I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's like
she's a child being like thrown around, and then she blows him up. Like there was an explosion and he just is like, he just flies and like his innards are intact, but he actually is the victim of somebody who was being blown up at one point. It's insanity.
I liked the callback that this was like FAO Schwartz and not abandoned KB toy store. It's like, oh, for the big fight in the real toy store.
Yes, agreed.
I actually forgot momentarily that FAO Schwartz did reopen recently. So I was like, that closed a while ago in New York. I lived there. And I was like,
we were so young, weren't we, Ian?
We really were.
It's the 90s.
But I liked that fight scene. I thought it was really cool. And I liked, Stephanie, you mentioned she just had to survive it. And she did a fucking good job, right? Like,
yeah, thank God for those trick arrows because if she didn't have that, no, even with the trick arrows, because it takes, what is it, Vera Farmiga hitting him with the car, right? That's what ends up doing it. Yeah,
well, no, that knocks him in there, yeah, and then she like
okay, right, and then the trick arrow, right, okay, because I'm like, it was just a lot. It was too much to take him down, and like, I
agree.
What? Did he get in some goo? Like, is he a Ninja Turtle now? Like, how? Like, how is this working?
Right?
He's got that. He's taking shots of super soldier serum on the side,
or something. Like he got it from Baron Zemo. Had to.
He did his first of all. He did a little cool sculpting, and then he's been doing some HGH.
Brandon, but Stephanie, in the comics, he's that strong, right? Or no?
So weirdly in the comics he is. So I don't know, like if you just treat it as he's just this massive man. So we're just saying that because of, I don't know, his
size,
like size and center of gravity or whatever, he is able to just fling people around. Because like even in the what is it, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the video game, Kingpin's like beating your ass. Like it took me a while to beat him, and I'm like, why am I struggling? Like I'm using Black Spider-Man, I'm using Miles Morales, and he has lightning powers along with his spider powers, and he's still not going down.
I wonder if Marvel Studios was like, look, this is like a different universe than, not technical, but being like the other shows were so grounded, the Netflix stuff, that like they couldn't show him being too physically strong, or you know what I mean, like that kind of fantastic power, strong. So that maybe that they're like, this is the time we can have him be all this stuff, because Hawkeye is not the same sort of grounded street level storytelling that the other stuff was.
I don't know though, as a person who's never seen any of that other stuff, I too was like, how is he surviving all of this? Which, I mean, brings us to this scene after Kate escapes.
Right.
And due to Kingpin is limping to the Trust a Bro van, LOL. And then Maya shows up and they have another great cinematography moment where she's like in front of the headlights. And then he signs we're family and she shoots him off screen. So we are supposed to assume, ? That he is dead. I was like, there's no way he's dead.
There's no way.
Right. Right. We just watched him get like literally blown up, and his suit didn't even like rip. It was just a little dusty. So like,
I felt like of all the fights, then like Maya does get Kazi, but like, why are they making us assume that she gets Kingpin? I don't know. It was just weird for me.
Watching him limp through the street, I was like, oh, please. Like, that was another moment where I'm like, oh, where's the NYPD on this one? The bad guy is literally wounded, limping down the street. Where's the NYPD? Nowhere? Oh, surprise.
I was gonna say your faith in the NYPD is
Yeah, like he's just limping away. Like like this mastermind is like, my knee. Ah, okay. Oh, like
that part we relate to, Brandon.
Yes, of course, because my knee.
Yeah, I wish there could have been like maybe she like drops him off a building or something. That would have like been like, all right, yeah, she's gonna walk away from that, but like also like maybe he survived, maybe he didn't, or like she throws him in the ocean. I don't know.
He's also begging for his life almost by saying like signing we're family. Like he's clearly down, so they definitely want us to think that she shoots him dead, even though at the end he's fine. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah. But so they wrap up everything. We see the LARPers befriending swordsmen. Kate and Clint are like talking about their arrows and stuff. And then we do get, which Tim, I think you had been saying since the beginning, the scene that we knew we were going to get, which is Clint going home for Christmas. He's making it, and he brings Kate and the dog. And I thought it was like very sweet. I wish we had stayed a little bit. I wish we had spent just like a tad more time on the reveal that we knew was coming, that the watch was his wife's. I don't know. Stephanie, what did you think of that reveal?
I didn't know what the hell. I was just like, oh, so you were able to get like a Christmas present, huh? And then, of course, when she flipped it over, and I was like, oh, okay, it's some little romantic gesture, whatever. Let me get Echo. Let me get that season now, because I'm just kind of like, okay. And that could have just been because by then I'm just like, you've brought this woman on set, given her like 4 lines. You put her in the MCU, and this is all we get from this actress. Sure, whatever. This sentimental watch. Thank you very much, Hawkeye. I so greatly appreciated this. Now, if we didn't have the Kate factor, this is my other pitch for a Hawkeye series, and it's kind of like True Lies, where I don't know, like she's doing. Like she's involved in like an espionage thing with him, and like it spices up their marriage, and by the end they still bring home a dog or some shit like that. Because what a waste of this actress. I really hope she's able to remodel her kitchen with these checks.
And you can watch all about it on Linda Cardellini's Kitchen. It's
yes,
all
I mean,
on HGTV.
She, you know what, a shopping spree or just something, but it was fine. I didn't mean to like ho hum it like that, but no, it was a nice, cute little moment.
Question mark.
Were you
question?
Oh okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when she flips over the watch, I didn't think it was sentimental. I thought that meant she was like an agent or something. Like it had like SI or something, or IS on it.
It had the number 19 on it.
Oh, 19.
19.
Okay.
So was she Agent 19?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why, and that's my whole thing where I was just kind of like, I would have, again, like if we didn't have to introduce the K aspect and all of that, like I would have loved like a little True Lies situation where we've got, or definitely not Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because I'm not trying to see Jeremy Renner in that way, but like a True Lies type of situation. We can go with Linda Cardellini doing a striptease.
So you just wanted more of that for this show, like
just for this one.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But I'm still happy we got what we got. But in an alternate universe, if that was the version of the Hawkeye show we got, I'd be fine too.
So
Stephanie, I gotta ask: is Agent 19, is that like a thing, or was it just they're just like, oh, she was an agent, that's it?
No, I believe Agent 19 is a thing.
Oh,
Care to expand?
Agent 19 is definitely a thing. I don't think because that was Mockingbird. So, yeah. So Hawkeye and Mockingbird at one point got married and got divorced. So that was like a little wink, wink, nod, nod that she is, I guess, at one point was Mockingbird.
I see. I thought okay. I thought that might be the case, but I didn't know that Bobby's designation was 19. So this is something.
Huh.
So that's the thing y'all were worried about, where there's already a character who is this person.
Right.
Then okay.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that.
You see, in Canada, so the series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually...
No, do it in Yelena's voice.
And there was the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was fine, you watch a season or two, you like it, maybe you go, you don't come back. But anyway, very nice show. And one of the ladies on it, she gets maybe a spin-off, but then she doesn't. It's a character that we are talking about. And I would be mad if I see other people play this character, but I don't get the pilot picked up, but whatever.
It's just hilarious because like these shows and the movies included have been like, oh yeah, the stuff from Netflix totally counts. But to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've just been like at every turn, they've been like, absolutely not. Because also the Darkhold that ends up, book that ends up popping up at the end of WandaVision. So that is hilarious to me.
Wait, I will say though, and I think Stephanie and Brandon, you guys can at least back me up on this. The only reason I can I can do mental gymnastics in my head to be like, well, it's still canon, because in the comics, lots of times when things show up, they look different depending on what artist is drawing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Like, they've introduced the multiverse, so at this point, they can say whatever is connected, because essentially it kind of is. So it's, it's all right. It's fine.
And because Nick Fury and Maria Hill did show up in that show, and Lady Sif,
which is why it's hilarious that they just refuse to,
I
don't know, do it outright. And at this point, I just feel like it's just a refusal just for refusal purposes, to say, no, we're not going to do this thing that the fans want, because fuck y'all, we're not doing it. It's simply, that. Which is fine.
I think they do it to show that they're in control, to be honest with you. I think they're like, you will never, we own all of this. We'll take it off television forever. Because they can do it. Disney does not. They don't mess around.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I just love that, that show was on the air for, more seasons than any of those Netflix shows, and yet it is the one that gets paid dust. And yet, Kim, everything Brandon said in Yelena's voice was true. There was a Mockingbird character. She even got a spinoff. She left Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in one of my favorite episodes of the series. She left the show because the character was getting a spinoff. They filmed 2 episodes, and then it was not picked up, and it never went to, and she never came back. That character just that, I think that actor was on a different show after that.
Well, okay, but here's also the tragic thing about Adrienne Palicki is that she also did the Wonder Woman, years previous, did the Wonder Woman pilot that didn't get picked up. And you know what? She's fine. There's nothing wrong. I'm as an actor, that is just some really shitty luck. And I hope that she's well, because that's, the business sucks like that. You have these 2 great things that you do that you're could turn into very long-term cool things. And then if they don't happen, it's heartbreaking. So we love you, Adrienne Palicki.
You know what? And we do. I loved her on the show. She was great. I loved her as one of the heavy hitters. And are you kidding me, Brandon? I bring up that I interned at BuzzFeed for 6 months all the time. And so I very much can understand being remember that time I had 2 pilots and neither of them got picked up? I just did a fake cigarette smoke. None of you could see, but I pretended I was smoking.
I can see it now. I can see it.
But so anyway, the show, we end on, we learn that she's Agent 19. Kate's there with his family. She doesn't seem too pressed about her mom going to jail.
It's perfect. Exactly the ending I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I have to talk about the fact that Clint brought 1 present each for his kids. Come on.
Seem very happy with them. Don't
he's let me. He's help me with these presents. I got 1 each. And one of the one of the kids was it was a Nerf gun. He's I've always wanted this. Literally, one of the kids opens up a thing. It's a Nerf gun. He says, I've always wanted one of these. And I'm what is this family like? I think Clint has gone too much. He needs to be with his children. They are insane.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum here. As soon as Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas started playing, I'm sobbing throughout that
Then we get, I don't know if you all saw, there was a credit scene, but it was just literally
did you
a
say,
song.
Did we see? Yeah. Oh, we saw.
I was waiting to be like something that even I maybe could have like picked up on being like meaningful, and like I didn't catch anything. So good to hear that that's all it was.
Yeah, Brandon, what did you think of that? I will admit, I watched like a good 10 seconds and was like, all right, I'm going to fast forward to see if anything important happens. And
no, I just was like, this is so insane that first of all, I was like, they got Adam Pascal, which of course, like as soon as I saw, I was like, of course they did. Of course they got Adam Pascal. He's like perfect for this. It's like, just like the whole energy of the whole thing was just so weird. But then when you get to the dancing Chitauri, you're just like, this is insane. And they kept panning over to like Mark Shaman, like conducting.
Was that who that was? I was like, this is someone famous. I didn't know who it was.
He and I was starting to like in my brain be like, because I'm obsessed with actors that like, especially like when Gwyneth Paltrow's like, well, I was in Spider-Man. Like I love people who are like, yeah, I just kind of do my thing, and I go home and I don't really know what they're doing. And my dream was that Mark Shaman was like, had no idea really what any of this was about, had to sign an NDA. He's like, I don't know, it's Marvel. I guess I'll do it. He wrote a thing, they did it. And then like the morning that Hawkeye went up there, his nephews were texting him and he's like, oh, that thing I did came out. Like, because it's just this really weird little microcosm of a thing. Like, did you really not watch the entire performance?
I didn't. I fast forward. I saw that Loki and the Chitauri came out. That did make me laugh.
It's just so bizarre. And like, but you're also like, sometimes with Broadway, when you're like, oh, they're making that into a show. Like, it's something that like part of me would be like, yeah, it's not beautiful at all. It's not a Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, but somebody could probably pitch it as like a pared down where it's like, yeah, they're just wearing denim. It's real simple. It's real street level. Like, I would not put it past somebody to pitch this sort of project to Broadway. And that's because we live in a frightening world.
It was very like, I love New York the whole time, you know, like that would seem to be like one of the major themes of it too, which is like super Broadway.
And I was also going through my head because a lot of the lines in it are lines from the Avengers movie that these people would not know that Captain America says, I could do this all day. Like, so then in my brain, I'm like trying to justify that, like, oh, you know,
that has been my argument.
I was like, they probably done really extensive interviews that got published, and like, I'm like, well, which makes no sense, but like, that's how my brain is telling me to justify it.
Because I mean, I'm just imagining like, what is it, like Brody or somebody doing some type of expose, and like, you know, we'd be in the middle of the battle, and like this guy would just yell, "I can do this all day," and it's just like, okay, we know that you can do this all day,
right?
But we need you to do it now so that we can go home.
Yes, I like that. That's a perfect justification.
I like the
you
idea
have
of
just
them being
given
like,
me peace, by the way, Stephanie. So thank you.
Well, it's like they do that a lot. They did that in WandaVision too, where they're like, well, Captain Marvel did that. I'm like, how do they know every single thing that happened in all of this shit? Like, was there a live show?
I'm sure.
It's you know what? It's social media and it's the blogs. So in the same way that we have like Normani updates, Rihanna updates, like all of these different like fan dedicated pages, they have to have that for the Avengers. So I don't know how folks, maybe Peter's leaking some stuff because he's posting some of the fights and stuff on social media, like on the live. So somebody is like recording that and parsing out every little thing that's happening, because I mean, that is the only way that we're getting some of these more intimate things. But like, if somebody says something on a whole nother planet, how's that working?
I mean, keep saying on the blogs, like one of the Real Housewives. You're like, you know, it's on the blogs.
On the blogs, you know, because clearly I've been catching up on what is it, Salt Lake City.
Oh God.
Definitely. Yeah, I you know what? I buy that theory. Kim, what do you think?
I just think that they wanted to have fun with it. I've not thought this deep about how they actually found out what the real characters in the fake verse, which is real to us in many ways, actually said. No, that was not. I didn't go that deep. I was like, oh, they're like, oh, we did this little thing from the beginning. Let's just do the whole thing and throw it at the end for fun.
I did read that even the director didn't know that was going to be the end credits scene.
Because the way they present it too is like Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Like a little treat or whatever. And it's like, but I also think like people got paid. Like that was like time and energy. People had to learn that choreo.
I didn't even think about that. You're right, Brandon. Like that, people spent time, right? Like,
yeah, that wasn't, you can't CGI that. Like that was like, people were like, I'm like, I want to know about the rehearsal process. Because also Adam Pascal was like listed as like, I don't know, New York City person #1 or something. Like, and he's like the main guy. I'm just fascinated with that whole, I mean, that's Disney too. They have enough money that they can throw at some side thing and then be like, oh, we'll use this somewhere, maybe at the end of Hawkeye.
So we don't think they're actually going to do this musical for us? Because I mean,
think so.
I don't think so.
I honestly, no. Like, I think that they might.
Really?
At some point. Yeah, and I kind of feel like if the pandemic wasn't happening and they could bank on like the Broadway situation being lucrative, I don't know. Like, I just kind of feel like. So like my conspiracy theory is the reason why it's so well thought out that prior to 2020, like this was in the works. They were going to unveil it on Broadway. There was like this whole plan about it. Couldn't happen. So they were like, okay, so we'll repurpose this right now. We'll throw it into Hawkeye. We'll keep seeding this in other little shows. And then finally we'll do a little bit more at the end and we'll see how audience react to it, and then we'll circle back. Maybe we'll do it on the Disney cruise, but we're gonna do this thing.
Stephanie, I buy it. I buy your conspiracy theory. Write about it on the blogs because I'll read it.
I'm gonna put it on the blogs.
We're gonna have Marvel on Ice next year. You heard it here first.
Well, because Kim, I will tell you. I know you haven't seen it, and this isn't a spoiler. Don't get crazy. In Spider-Man, when he's swinging through New York at some point, you see billboards for Rogers the musical. And it's like a fun little nod. Yeah. Because it's like they take place kind of at the same time.
I think I saw that in a preview actually.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think you do see it in one of the previews. So I don't know. I can buy what you're saying, Stephanie, because Disney does do shit like that, right?
I mean, it would be honestly hilarious if like this whole production got sidelined in that way and they were like, okay, we'll just repurpose it and put it in stuff. So I don't know, like maybe one day you'll like be on Disney Plus and it'll be like, hey, you want to watch the Avengers Broadway, whatever situation, and boom, there it is.
I like that idea.
Yeah, me too.
You know
I'm into it.
I actually want to, as a licensed project, I want to write the behind the scenes, like the making of that musical. I want to write like a coffee table book that like creates like there's like drama and all kinds of like just because and then the thing is like I'm like that's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I can have free reign because they'll never do anything with that. Like let me tell a big juicy drama Broadway story, like the behind the scenes of Rogers the musical.
Yes.
Like somebody gets killed the first rehearsal, like somebody dropped, you know what I mean? Something very dramatic that like sets the tone. Maybe there's like a ghost. I don't know. Like I'm just like something insane. And then give me one B-list villain to mention. That's it.
One. All right. Favorite scene in this episode, Brandon?
Oh, I think I want to go with the Yelena Clint on the ice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Favorite scene, Kim?
My happy ending. I got my happy ending. It's got to be my favorite scene. Ella Fitzgerald singing "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." It's my favorite Christmas song. So, yeah.
Stephanie?
I think the elevator scene. I don't know. Because again, like that chemistry is just off the charts. And I just wanted more of that. So I'll just say that was probably my favorite.
All right. For me, it's a tie between the elevator scene and the both big Yelena scenes. Yelena and Kate in the elevator, and Yelena and Clint when she's crying. What grade do you give the episode and the series as a whole? Or wait, no. What grade do you give this episode, and where do you rank this series among the Disney Plus series? Kim?
Oh God, me first. This episode gets an A-. I think I gave one an A- all along. I gave one an A. I mean, WandaVision, Hawkeye, Loki. I didn't watch that other one. Not including What If. That's my ranking.
Stephanie?
I give this episode an A, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. Right now, I feel like it's a tie with WandaVision for two very different reasons. WandaVision just, I don't know, like, I think for me, it's more of an emotional tie to that than, a full-on execution. Also, I just enjoyed it. But for Hawkeye, because it's the most solid out of all of them. Yeah. And because they really do a great job of landing that third act, which has been like the problem for all of these shows, for that, it's up there. Now, ask me in about a month. We'll see.
I was thinking that too. Like, I might feel differently with more like space, but Brandon?
I'm going to give this episode an A.
Okay.
And I'm going to give this series an A-. I don't know why. I just feel like there are a couple things that I would be like, that I'm like, but otherwise. Look, WandaVision, like, has a special place in my heart. So that's always going to be number one for me. Like, I feel like WandaVision came, like, it was the first time in a long time I felt like there was a connectivity between fandom. That was really like what everybody needed at the time. Like, everybody was watching, everybody was on the edge of, and there's so much fandom that I rarely feel the exact amount of like excitement about certain things, but I feel like WandaVision was very special like that. And then I would say Hawkeye second, and then Loki and Falcon Winter Soldier, I think had, I feel like they sort of even each other out. I mean, there were things that I liked about both. I felt like Loki was better executed, but WandaVision and Hawkeye really are my two faves.
Yeah. I give this episode an A, and WandaVision is my favorite, but I think Hawkeye, I agree 100% with what you said, Stephanie. Like, it's so weird. They really did nail that like third act in a way that even WandaVision, which I truly adore, didn't quite nail. Whether we can blame COVID, right? But right, Stephanie? I mean, we talked about this with like,
because what Hawkeye does is that it I guess remembers to kind of keep things simple. Because even in its simplicity, it doesn't mean that it's not going to either be phenomenal or good or any of that. Like, you just have a cleaner through line. And I wonder if that's because of the type of character Clint is, because he's very ground level, that the show was able to really stay grounded in that way. Because like WandaVision, they had it, and then they just kind of lost a little bit because we got to throw in like the magic Hadouken fight at the end, and we got to do all this bombastic type of stuff. But with Hawkeye, because it's just more grounded, and which is crazy though, because sort of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was too, to an extent. But even in that, because, and I think the problem with that is because they couldn't really pick and choose, like where, like they were kind of like tiptoeing around things. Like, they didn't really just go full on in one direction. And because, again, like, because of the way Hawkeye like is and what they set up, they just kept things very simple. Like the Ronin suit, now people know that Ronin's around. That brings people out of the corners of wherever they are. We gotta get you safe, Cade. We gotta figure out this Ronin situation, because now like past sins are coming back for me, and that's how we gotta clean up this resolve either the sins catch up to me or I'm able to kind of make some type of amends. And it was like one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, that's why for me, like, I give this episode an A, but I still put WandaVision number 1, but Hawkeye, while I love Wanda and Vision the most, and I think Agatha was Disney by far's best villain, this was like so solid, and so like they didn't forget about the other characters. And that was the thing, WandaVision was their like biggest like flaw, right? They forgot about Monica, they forgot about Darcy, they forgot about Jimmy by that finale. And yeah, we can say it was because of COVID, but like storytelling wise, you can't just say, well, COVID happened, so it's okay. Like story wise, they did forget about these characters. And Hawkeye did not. Like Maya was, for all intents and purposes, like a very like C plot character, and yet we got a full story out of her. We began and ended her story, even though she's a character who's getting her own show, and we knew this going into it. Yeah, so I think I would say WandaVision, then Hawkeye, then Loki, then What If, which I never even finished the last 2 episodes of, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Kim, for hosting all of these Hawkeye episodes with me.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank
you all for listening. If you want to find SlayerFest 98, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Spotify just added a rating system, so feel free, if you like us, to give us a nice rating and review on Spotify, and also do that on Apple Podcasts. It's much appreciated. You can support us on Patreon, where you get access to all our bonus episodes. We're just finishing up Harley Quinn this month. We'll start season 2 in 2022, and we'll be finishing out Buffy season 7 in 2022. And you can find us on social media at SlayerFestX98. You can find me at IanXCarlos. Stephanie, where can everyone find you, and where can they buy your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Steph_I_Will. Go to whystuff.com to find some of the stuff that I'm doing. And Nubia in the Amazons issue 3 just came out, so please check that out. Issue 4 will be out January 19th, I believe. And get ready for a Trial of the Amazons, because that is on the way.
Nice. Kim, where can everyone find you?
I'm on Twitter at Kim Ann Joseph.
And Brandon, where can everyone find you and buy your books?
I am on all of the social medias as Brandon T Snider, across all the Twitters and Instagram. And you can buy on my website, cootiekid.com. You can buy my new book, Rube Goldberg and His Amazing Machines. It will make your child laugh, so bye.
I really appreciate your commitment. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.